I'm in Maryville, Tennessee, and right behind me is my dying local mall. And the question is, does this mall hate teenagers? Well, I don't really know. But I would like to bring up some points that might show that this is more of a systematic problem that could also blame the city and the way we think about malls. The mall's only purpose is to make money, like any commercial space. And teenagers themselves don't make much money, and it is not their fault. But this frame of thinking really limits the purpose of space and who gets access to these places. I will investigate this topic from an urban planning perspective and see how limiting the freedom of teenagers can greatly affect much older people. My name is Andres. I'm here to learn the mysteries of the built environment, and this is How to Build a World. This mall behind me was built in the 80s. It used to have over 70 different stores when it first opened, with a Sears and a JCPenney. But today, most of the businesses have gone under, and there are about a dozen stores left, like a movie theater, a TJ Maxx, and a Belk's. Not the epitome of a shopping experience, but I do like going to the mall and the movies. However, when you ask the locals what they think about the mall, they mainly see it as a place for old people to walk and get exercise, and a place for teenagers to kind of hang out. And this is very much the case. As well, a new grocery store is moving in, but they're making sure it doesn't touch the building, for some reason. Therefore, teenagers hanging around here will vary, and they're not really common, but they do exist. A couple of months ago, the mall created a new rule that affected young people. The mall implemented the Youth Escort Policy, YEP, which requires all visitors under the age of 18 years old to be accompanied by a guardian older than 21 years old. But don't worry, this only applies for Saturdays and Sundays, after 4 p.m. And the mall closes at 8 every day. So this is kind of odd, but let us see how much of a teenager's time will it affect if they decide to go to the mall every day. Here are the mall hours. Let us use Maryville High School as the teenage population that might go to the mall. And here are the school hours. I want to check how they get to the mall. This is driving time, if they get a ride or be given a ride, walking time, and biking time. And here is a schedule that I made to see the time that it gets affected. It seems this would affect about more than 15% of the teenagers' free time when going to the mall. My conclusion is, I'm guessing teens get mischievous by then. The mall never explains why they're doing this, but who are we to stop them? I think their parents or guardians are not too happy being required to be at the mall during the weekend if their teenagers want to go, especially when they might just want to hang out with their friends and not want to be supervised. Oh my goodness, I'm imagining a 20-year-old having to babysit a bunch of 17-year-olds for 4 hours at a mall. After thinking about how we spend our time in commercial spaces, I kind of want to step back and see how the actual built environment itself perpetuates the problem of mobility for young people. You can write whatever rules you want, but physical space is more impactful and can really be a barrier in how you have access to these places in the first place. Let's jump into Google Maps and see how the mall looks like in 3D. So looking at all 4 corners entering the mall, going from southwest, southeast, northeast, northwest. No sidewalks, no sidewalks, no sidewalks, no sidewalks anywhere. All surrounded by highways. Oh boy, you really need a car. And there are no bike lanes. Well, there's no bike lanes anywhere in the city, but it'd be nice to have bike lanes. So why is it important for teenagers to have access to these places? This idea is called the third place. It is a place where you can exist to hang out with your friends, and it is not required for you to spend money. For example, it could be a cafe, a bar, or even a library. But 2 out of those 3 kind of have to spend some money. And the third place is a location not only young people need, but also adults to have access to as well. We don't need to spend money every time we hang out with our friends. Some of us are just broke. It is hard to ask a mall to be such a place, because they kind of just want you to spend your money. And we don't live in the 80s anymore, when the idea of hanging out in the mall is not common anymore. Like, think of Stranger Things season 3. But because of the rules and how the environment emphasizes how we use these spaces, it forces teenagers and adults to participate in the space in this manner, therefore making everyone drive. So, is there a way to fix this? It would be difficult to force a private institution to be more democratic and tell them how to run their business. And I doubt that they will ever change, no matter what we do. The mall will always be the mall. But something the city could do, or could consider, would be to add sidewalks and road space for people outside the car to enter these premises. That will go a very long way, and that is something that can be democratically created by changing our local ordinances. But if you want to be very spicy and go farther, just add bike lanes. That would definitely be a game changer. To get my point across, limiting teenagers can affect their own free time and personal experiences in how they can move around in the city. At this point, kids will need to be fully reliant on adults, and adults don't always have the free time to take teenagers to places. Most adults will need to be at work or might want to do other things than being a personal Uber for teenagers. But I also want to think about my own age group of young adults and how sometimes young adults don't always want to drive everywhere. Having a car and paying for gas is expensive, and some of us are just broke. The only third place I have in this small town is the mall, the library, the church, or even maybe the cafe. And they all close at 8, and it is difficult to hang out with friends no matter what generation you live in. I do see a lot of people walk and bike to the mall, and I have no clue how they have the courage to do so, because I have seen people do it, and I'm just amazed, mainly because the mall is surrounded by very wide and high-speed roads and no infrastructure for these people. So they're walking on grass, they're walking on the curb, they're walking on the road themselves. That's just rough. However, by adding alternative transit options and really thinking about how things are set up, we can create a positive change. The sky is the limit when we look at things from different perspectives. I cannot have too many expectations from the mall, but sometimes I want to be able to bike to a place where I don't need to be worried about being hit by a 2-ton vehicle when I just want to go to the movies. Thank you for hanging out and listening to me rant about how my beautiful local mall can sometimes just be wacky and I just want a conversation. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.